Welcome to this webinar on Intro to Teaching Overseas. This webinar will focus on teaching at SIAS University, where I taught for a few years before I moved into teacher recruitment. In the process of teacher recruitment, I brought about 300 people over the span of 12 years. Welcome. Next week, I'll be sharing more about teaching outside of China with the different schools and school leaders that I've met in mostly Thailand. But I've also visited schools in Indonesia as well, and there's other opportunities that I'm learning about in Vietnam and Cambodia. So my family, we first moved to China in 2008 with just newly married, 2 months married, and we called that home for till 2019. And we were not too aware of what was like where the best place in China to live was, but we fell in love with Henan. It's centrally located. You can get on a flight and go to different major cities quickly. And as we've been there, we also learned that you can get on a bullet train, a sleeper train, and travel the whole country. The train network is massive in China. And so I really love taking new teachers on sleeper trains, these 3-level trains where you can see the countryside and you kind of put along. Might take you a day or 18 hours to get to like 3 provinces over. But the bullet train, if you already seen the countryside, you just want to get somewhere, you can jump on a bullet train in our mega city of Zhengzhou and get up to Beijing in 2 hours at over 300 kilometers per hour. Some Americans call this the Galilee of China, central China, because there's a lot of Christians in Henan province. And then as you go west, there's more Buddhist, and then north, there's more Muslims. So the demographics, as you travel around China, you'll learn about like the different people groups of China. There's 56 major people groups, but if you, from a linguistic perspective, if you look at the whole people of China, there's closer to 500 different linguistic groups in China. So it's a really amazing, vast, diverse country. So when you're thinking about places to teach, I always recommend SIAS as one of the best places to teach if you are looking at teaching at the university level. They have opportunities not to teach just ESL, but also to have a spouse or yourself even to teach at the K8, especially in the kindergarten. And their experience with bringing teachers over really helps build confidence for new teachers. So we put together a guidebook. So if you were to go to academicsindonesia.com/guide-book, you can get that download. It's like a 40-page guidebook that gives you a lot of details of like what to pack and how to prepare and the benefits of working for a university that was started by an American. Speaking of which, this is Sean Chen. Dr. Sean Chen started the university in 1998, and he brings to China a Western flavor to higher education. And it's not just in type of pedagogy, but also in like the infrastructure. So this is a quick flyover of the university if you haven't seen it yet.
Greetings from SIAS University. SIAS University founded in 1998. The very early American-owned university approved by China Educational Ministry and the Chinese Central Authority to grant both Chinese-American degree. So definitely our specialty is internationalization of higher education. Our university is well known for very advanced concept, very new innovative educational model. Combine Chinese and Western educational philosophy, East, Middle, West. We are a very comprehensive university with 17 academic colleges.
He wants to bring in international teachers that don't just teach content, deliver from a book, but have interaction with students so they talk about real things outside of China. He wants to really create an atmosphere that you would feel outside of China. So if you were to study at UC Berkeley, you're going to have interaction with students, with faculty, and you're talking about not just maybe your major, but you can ask questions about politics, religion, economy, history, culture, and really get a feel for what life is like in America or in California. So oftentimes you look on like job boards and like threads about teaching abroad, and they're like, never go to this school. They're blacklisted because they gave us the wrong visa. So one of the problems with going to a young school that has a lot of pressure to bring teachers over on a strict timeline to launch a school and bring in tuition and money and to survive, they might say, oh, come over on a tourist visa, we'll switch you over later, but they never do. So they're illegally paying you. You have to be on a work visa to legally receive money in China. You often will see schools not have fluent English or competent English administrators. And so you'll get your contract and it's all in Chinese. And you're like, oh, let's see if my Google app works. And you're like trying to figure out like how this is going to work. So the nice thing about going to a school that's more experienced, that has international administrators, is you're going to get a better contract that has English as well. And then many schools will say, okay, come over on this date. In addition to maybe being on the wrong visa, come over on this date on your own ticket, we'll reimburse you. So even if they do reimburse you, what are you going to do with your credit card bill in the States? So it's like maybe spend a couple $1,000s flying over, and then they give you Chinese dollars. How do you pay your credit card bill in the States? So it's nice that some universities allow for, like they'll pay for your airfare and not have to reimburse you in Chinese dollars. It's always anxious to arrive at a new location and not know how to speak the language and how to get a taxi and how to get to the university. So you don't want to be in a situation where you have uncertainty upon your arrival, or like where you're going to live and what is it going to look like, what kind of housing. Some places say, okay, we're going to put you in a hotel for 2 weeks and it's on you to find your own housing and we'll give you money for that. And then you'll get there and maybe it's 2 days later you have to start teaching, and that's really difficult, like the jet lag. But in addition to that, maybe they likely won't have lesson plans prepared for you. And so that creates anxiety and stress for some teachers going to a new school or a young school. They likely won't have orientation or teacher training, culture training. They may not have Chinese helpers lined up to help you get your bank account and everything set up. And then when you're having questions during your first semester teaching, you may not have anybody to go to, like a mentor teacher, and you feel isolated because you're all like, it's just you as the only expat teacher there. You're not able to connect to someone of your own language or culture to process how you're feeling and go through like the stages of culture shock in a cohort or in community. And then at some point you may lose purpose, like, oh, this is really worth it. I'm not connecting with the culture or the students or something like that because of all the other things you're focused on adjusting. And you really don't know what you're getting into because the school had no peer reviews. There's nothing on Glassdoor or Indeed. There's no social media interaction with the current faculty. So, so SIAS likes to provide solutions for all those issues. These are all kind of extreme issues that you might see, but it's good to be aware when you're looking for a job overseas, like, do they address these issues? And so like going down the list, they provide only work visas for you, a Z visa. They'll have bilingual contracts in English and Chinese. The university has a ticket agency in LA they work with, so they'll buy your ticket from a city near you, like an international port city from you. Maybe not a lot of time to know when you're flying, maybe a week notice or so, but you don't have to pay out of pocket for it. And there's always a delegation of students or staff that will meet you at the airport with a sign in your name. So pretty standard international way to greet someone. And you'll have furnished housing ready to go. So we provide videos to kind of show you what it would look like. Hopefully it exceeds your expectations when you get there. And then lesson plans are given for the big classes that we have repeated every year, like conversational English. I should add a caveat that some of the new classes that we ask a new professor to pioneer in, we'll make sure in the interviews that they have course content to bring. So if it's a new class on business or some specialty class, maybe like teaching Japanese or a music course, we want to make sure that people are comfortable teaching the content before they arrive. And we'll have an orientation, and mostly what orientation is, get your bank card, get your SIM card, go shopping, get your apartment set up, A lot of that, meet some of the other faculty, like some coffee and tea. And then if you are interested, start learning Chinese with a student that can help you tutor the basic survival Chinese skills. And then our school has returning teachers, and they are available to meet with you and just be available for lesson planning. As our faculty grows, we're going to have an academic coordinator as well that can help answer questions about grading or the lesson that you're given. And then community is really important. So you're not going to be the only one there. At our peak, we had about 140 international faculty in 2019. And then through COVID, it shrunk down to like 25. And now we're back up to like 35. And this year, we're hoping to hire 30 more teachers. So within a few years, the goal is to be back up to 100 international faculty. And opportunities. So in addition to teaching, we want to encourage you with what is your passion. So if you love hanging out with students, go do that. If you have an interest in like going to an orphanage, there's students that want to go with you. If you have an interest in like coaching students with like leadership skills, one of the things that my wife and I were involved in was a John Maxwell based leadership course where we're taking students through the process of knowing who they are as a person, their personality style, and then what does a leader look like in the workforce? And then that launched them into cross-cultural business internships. So those type of things are just based on how you are wired as a person, and then the SIAS University platform gives you opportunity to spend time with students during your weekends, during the long holidays or summer breaks. So support every step of the way. So we want to be there by providing staff to help you with the visa support, pre-arrival. There's some paperwork to do. So they'll give you a list of to-dos and deadlines and help you along the way. They will reimburse you for up to $200 for the money that you spent to get your documents authenticated. And like I said before, they'll establish your bank account, your SIM card, get your apps going, make sure you have WeChat, make sure you have whatever you need for language translation on the fly. So the living environment, I'll show a video later, but we want to be able to make sure you're comfortable so that the transition isn't difficult. So you don't have a squatting toilet, you have a sitting toilet, things like that. And then you're in a hotel type apartment. There's a 24/7 staff at the front desk of your resident hall. Cost of living is extremely inexpensive. So for traveling or for eating out, buying things, medical procedures, it's all quite affordable. If you're a taller person like myself or bigger like myself, I recommend bringing all your clothes, like your shoes and everything for the whole year, because you might not be able to find big person's clothes in the suburb. But if you go to the big city, there are more international sized clothing. And then comforts of home. So living in an environment similar to where you came from is important. And then the type of food is available, gyms, sporting activities. And then we give you holidays for your holidays. So especially like a North American, so Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and Easter, we give you a special meal to just respect and honor your culture. So SIAS University now has about 35,000 students. It's very international in its partnerships. It's a huge campus. I think it's at about 70% completed, like the campus rollout plan. So when I got there 15 years ago, it was like maybe 40% completed. Now they're like across the rail, there's a railway that divides the campus from the north and the south campus. And on that other side, they built this huge library, the biggest indoor basketball training center of any university in China, a golf range, like a driving license area that people drive around, a Chinese garden, a French garden, a lot of buildings, a partnership building with Fort Hays State University. So all those buildings were built since I got there 15 years ago, and they still have another 30% to go.
SIAS International University, founded in 1998, is located in Xinzheng, central China, in the Henan province. Its unique campus hosts over 29,000 undergraduate students and is approved to grant both Chinese and American bachelor's degrees. SIAS emphasizes an East meets West philosophy by integrating both worldviews to cultivate well-rounded graduates. Its sprawling 362-acre campus offers many amenities and a diversity of architecture.
So Academics in Asia is the exclusive marketing channel for SIAS University, and I've been on staff, and now I work as a contract worker since 2011. I've been recruiting for them. We've helped place 350 international teachers at the university. So we do that through our Instagram channel, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTubing, and then we also hire faculty as well to work part-time to post media and share their stories. And then we'll post other jobs outside of SIAS as well on our job board. And if you go to our YouTube channel, you can see like this video is a testimonial video that teachers are interviewed, and what is their first experience, or what's their kind of one word that describes their time in China. So I encourage you to go to the YouTube channel and watch some of those videos. So you're right in the kind of middle of our recruiting season. The heavy interview season for us is March to May. And so we're hoping to get most of our applications in May and finish our interviews. So this is a great time to apply. Make sure your passport doesn't expire within the next year. You want to have at least 6 months minimum, but we like to say at least 2 years on your passport before it expires. So we're looking for our educators who are professional and ready to take on a challenge. So they're going to be flexible and responsive to the students' needs. They're excited about jumping into culture, and they're a team player. They're open to feedback. They're responsive to changes that are thrown at them, and they have a kind of a mindset of I'm a lifelong learner. So we need resilient teachers, because we have Chinese administrators that have edicts from like higher up, like the province or even from Beijing, saying, oh, you got to start teaching this content in this course. And so then they just like deliver it to us without sometimes enough notice to make us feel comfortable. And then we just got to go for it. Like, okay, let's change our lesson plan. Let's add that content in. So having teachers who are having that personality and mindset is really important. So in the interview process, you'll notice that they're kind of asking questions on those kind of four categories. So legally, you have to be from a native English speaking country to teach English, or there's exceptions for those who are fluent in English that have completed a degree from one of those countries, or there's some sort of newer like work agreement. So like with our teachers from Russia, there might be more favor than, say, a teacher from a country that is less close to China. So having 2 years teaching experience is something that we're looking for. If you don't have that, then we want an approved TEFL certificate completed before we process your visa mid-June. So sometimes a student will graduate with a psychology major. They don't have a background in education, TESOL, ESL type of college degree. And so then we ask them to finish an online TEFL certificate before June 15th when we start processing the work visa. So if you don't have your TEFL certificate before interview, it's okay. We can work with you. The visa office also is limiting us to not hire teachers over 59, and exceptions can be made based on the health of the teacher / their if they have a PhD, or if they're a really sought out educator. So for a conversational English teacher, at least a bachelor's degree. And then for when you teach content courses, we call you academic teachers. We prefer PhD, but a master's degree is also works as well. So for those that need a TEFL certificate, we've used this one for about 8 years. It's called My TEFL, and they always have specials. This is the current special that expires May 3rd, but it probably extends every day. So usually you get like 33 to 50% off with their coupon codes. And this is the content that you would learn in this My TEFL certificate. It's a 120-hour certificate, but it may only take you 70 hours. So on average, 70 to 80. depending on how fast you go through the slides. And these are the job openings. So we have quite a few, about 30 in total. The bulk of our job openings are going to be the oral English teacher, conversational English teacher for freshmen. And then if you are an English major, then we can place you in with a sophomore or oral English students. We also have an opening for a few business teachers, and the class size will be larger. It'll be 60 to 70 in size, whereas like an oral English class at the university, they'll divide the class in half. So it'll be like 25 to 35 in size. And then we have a few specialty teachers, music teacher with a wind emphasis, Japanese language teacher, an assistant basketball coach that may work for the university program or with a new high school, like I forget what they call it, some sort of it's like you don't go to high school, but you go to like basketball school for high schoolers. It's like an academy. There you go. That's the word. Basketball academy. You're not going to learn so much about academics. You're just going to learn to be a good basketball player. So Sean Chan is working with one of our Coach Mello, to start a basketball academy. And so it'll be at one of those two positions for basketball coach. And then we're also looking at making a hybrid university kindergarten teacher, where you go in like twice a week to the kindergarten, and then you also teach conversational English at the university level. So we'll see how that goes. The pressure on a full-time kindergarten teacher is pretty high, so 50 hours a week, and so they don't want to put that pressure on a new teacher from overseas. So they're wanting to do more of a hybrid approach where the children still have a native English speaker, they get to interact with a Westerner, the parents are happy, the students are happy, and then the teacher's happy. And then lastly, a foreign faculty academic coordinator, so someone probably with a master's in education or an EDD would be ideal for that position. So like I said, the conversational English teacher positions, we have 20 to probably close to 30 openings right now for that position. And then that class includes 9 different classes. They're 2-hour long classes, 50 minutes with a 10-minute break, and then another 50-minute for that 2-hour class. So the nice thing about this course is you have one prep that can work for all 9 of your classes. So you don't have to prep like a new content every day. And then they can schedule your hours based on what works for you. So if you prefer to teach classes back to back in the afternoons, you can do that, or in the mornings. So they want to work with you as well on preferences for schedule. But on average, you're teaching 2 or 3 classes, 4 days a week, sometimes 5, but no more than 9 classes per week. If you want to make extra money, then you can teach more, but we encourage the new teachers just to take through 9. And then once you get into a routine and understand the course really well, then we'll maybe overtime later. So a few kindergarten teachers, a few business teachers, and you can also go to our job board on academicsasia.com and see some of the job listings. Like for this one is in the School of Music, a winds band conductor for the university at the School of Music, and you can read the job descriptions there as well. So go to academicsasia.com/job board to learn more about those job openings. We also are using Facebook and Instagram to post some of our new jobs. So this is an example of our basketball coach position. Nice thing about being a basketball coach is or teaching kindergarten is you're going to immerse yourself in Chinese culture and learn quite a bit of Mandarin. And you can see a little bit of that in this introduction to kindergarten teaching video. So that was highlighting one of our teachers. Her name is Christina, and she will join us on next week's Zoom call. So I just wanted to make sure her picture was in there before I moved on. If you want to see the whole video, it's about 4 minutes long. It's on our YouTube channel. So just search. We have quite a few videos on our YouTube channel. So just search for kindergarten and it'll pop up. This is another YouTube video called Intro to Teaching Academic Courses. Highly recommend it if you're going to teach business or wind instruments or one of the academic courses. It'll go into like what the expectations are for being in the classroom and give you some footage of what it looks like in the classroom. Walking around the class, interacting with students is still encouraged. And we used to, in 2019, we had about 60 teachers teaching academic courses. And now we're down to less than 10. So we're wanting to build that back up. There's also an optional training called long-term impact training. If you want to really focus on how to learn language, immerse yourself in culture, go in as a servant leader. There's a boot camp in June that you can go to, 18 days long. And then they also provide winter retreats so you can debrief and reflect on your semester and then go back for the next semester. So really looking after the heart of the teacher and then helping them with support and a team that helps you with that. So the next thing on the timeline is leaving for China. So mid-August departure, and then you have orientation. This video is really helpful to see because you want to know where you live and what it looks like.
Peter Hall, located on campus, is home to roughly 130 foreign faculty members. The dual building facility offers rooming options for single faculty, married couples, and families. Married couples can enjoy a furnished living room, study room, kitchen area, bathroom, and furnished bedroom. Single faculty are offered a furnished living room, kitchen area.
That was a video created about 6 years ago. And then now we have one created 2 years ago. So I'll show you a little updated video of our foreign faculty housing. Right, so that gives you a feel for what the upgrades were from a couple years ago. Then after you start teaching for about a month, there's a holiday. So October 1 to 8 holiday gives you a chance to travel. So when I was there on campus, I would oftentimes take teachers and a few students as translators out to Western China. In October, I love to go to Qinghai province and the Qinghai Lake. And it's really important, I think, for our faculty to see more than just one province, to see what the real China is. So visiting the minority groups out there, the Minzu Dashui, there's Muslim people groups, there's Tibetan people groups, all this vast culture in the mountains of China. And you also might want to start a mentoring group with students. So a lot of our teachers were involved with teaching the John Maxwell course, taking students to orphanages and debriefing their experience. Different leadership classes as well would have meet in small groups and discuss the content.
other side, 'cause you can do like you do, or you can do like me. Stay in the cage, or you finally take the key. Oh, damn, suddenly you're free to fly. It'll take you to the other side.
Okay, my friend, you wanna cut me in, well, I hate to tell you, but it just won't happen. So thanks, but no, I think I'm good to go, 'cause I quite enjoy the life you say I'm trapped in. Now I admire you, and that'll show you do. You're onto something, really it's something. But I live among the swells, and we don't pick up peanut shells. I'll have to leave that up to you. Uptown, but I get to play, 'cause I got what I need, and I don't wanna take the ride. And I need to see the other side, so go and do like you do. I'm good to do like me. Ain't in a cage, so I don't need to take the key. Oh, damn, can't you see I'm doing fine? I don't need to see the other
Now, is this
side.
really how you'd like to spend your days? Whiskey, misery, and parties and play.
If I were mixed up with you, I'd be the talk of the town, the one of the clown.
But you would
Ready to go?
A little bit. It's a nice echo.
give you the freedom to dream, and it'll wake you up and cure your aching. Take your walls and start them breaking. Now that's a deal that seems worth taking. But I guess I'm
Right, G.
Well, it's intriguing, but to go would cost me greatly. So what percentage of the show would I be taking?
Well, fair enough, you'd want a piece of all the action. I'd give you 7, we could shake and make it happen.
I wasn't born this morning, 18 would be just fine.
Why not just go ahead and ask for nickels on the dime?
15,
I do 8, 12, maybe 9, 10.
don't you wanna get away to a whole new punching on a play? 'Cause I got what you need, so come with me and take the ride to the other side.
So if you do like I do,
So if you do like me, forget the cage, 'cause we know how to make the key. Oh, damn, suddenly we're free to fly. We're going to the other side. So if you do like I do,
to the other side.
so if you do like me,
to the other
'cause if we do, we're going to the other side. We're going to the other side.
So here's a video explaining what some of our teachers do with their free time with mentoring groups.
Hope Club is a group that is student-led on campus, and it's where we go to different orphanages around the area. We meet with our students on campus here every week, and it's different teachers here that are involved. And we go visit the orphanages about once a month, and we're there for about 2 to 3 hours at a time, just loving on the kids and just sharing hope with them. Another great opportunity is through a hospital orphanage, which is also another student-led group, and it's where we go to the local hospital. It's about a 5-minute drive, and we go there twice a month with students and a few other teachers, and that involves children who are more mentally and physically disabled, and we just hang out with them and love on them. Being involved in the different orphanage groups is a wonderful time to connect with students, because you do meet with them, and when you have your meetings with them every week, you really get to connect with the students and see their heart behind why they are involved in the groups and loving on the children and spending time, valuable time to plan and be with the students.
So January, February, there's more holidays, and about 5 to 6 week spring festival holiday. And that's where a lot of students would invite you to their hometown, or you can travel outside of China. That time of year is really cold, so it might be snowing a little bit. Snow sticks for about 1 week at our university during the winter. And so a lot of the teachers just want to go to warm climate. So a lot of them end up in the Philippines or Indonesia, Bali, Thailand. And then you also have your summer holiday. So it gives you space to pursue your passion or continue with more grad school work, or to do volunteer work as well. So we already kind of covered some of the benefits. And I also want to show you this video, gives you a feel for around campus. But if you have any questions at this point, go ahead and post them into the comments section, and we will use those comments for our FAQ or our Q&As when this section is over, just about near the end.
There are classrooms of various size within walking distance from Peter Hall. Classrooms have multimedia equipment for lectures. On campus, you can find a variety of stores that offer both goods and services, such as food stands, cafeterias, chain restaurants, coffee shops, and shopping stores. There's also an on-campus clinic. Just outside of campus is Renmin Road, which is lined with a multitude of shops and stores. There's also a river next to campus that can offer a peaceful getaway.
So last October, my family went back to campus, and it was really encouraging to be there and to walk around campus. And our children really loved exploring. So they'd rent a electric bike and just go out, and or electric scooter, and go out and explore the campus. It probably takes 2 hours to walk the whole campus and to take your time and interact with people. It's a really big campus. So that's been one of the highlights of being at our university, is a safe place to raise children and to be in community. So we really let the leash out pretty far with our kids, and especially in the apartment complex, they can run down the hall and visit their friends, or as they get older, get on a bike and go around campus, and we're not worried too much about them. We did notice that in the last 4 years, there's a lot more cars on campus, so we have to be more aware of crossing the street. And so as the wealth has come into the country, we've noticed things like Starbucks to come on campus, McDonald's, a lot of cars. We even saw a Tesla on campus. There's more pets. You see more pet stores. That's a sign of affluence, to have a pet store. So all those things didn't exist in 2008, and now it's feels very international, urban, feels more wealthy now. So we have the two people that you would interview with at SIAS University. One is Esther. She's Korean American from California. She's been on staff for a few years teaching, and now she's an administrative coordinator of international operations. So she helps you with anything you have problems with, and then she'll guide you to the right person that's the expert, whether it's a visa issue or an academic issue, classroom issue, social issue, whatever. We also have Amy Todd. And Amy Todd has been there for probably 18 years with her husband, Gary. Her role has changed a few times. So currently, it's looking after the housing and then the Chinese leadership that runs the housing. So the maids and the front desk people. And then she also helps with activities. She coordinates our activities for the faculty as well, including our involvement with Culture Week. So, and then Jamin is also helping with interviews. So she is overseeing the visa team and helping answer questions about openings and helping with HR issues as well. So the range of salary, 7,500 RMB to 12,000 based on degree. And then we also provide the housing, and then there's an optional buffet, breakfast, lunch, dinner in our faculty housing on the first floor. A lot of our teachers opt into that. It's 1,500 RMB per month to have the food. And after a semester, some of them are like, oh, okay, I'm good. I want to explore more with the food. And then they stop paying that and then go eat outside of the resident hall. But I really encourage new teachers to eat within the resident hall the first few months. That way they get to know the other teachers, the new teachers. They don't have to worry about where to go to eat. They just focus on teaching and adjusting the culture. This is a picture of my family in the front. This shows you what it looked like back in 2019. Quite a diverse group of teachers and children. And some of our teachers are pursuing grad school programs. So if you're interested in getting your master's degree or PhD, let me know. We have partnerships with different schools that give between like a 25 and 33% discount on tuition. And you can do it online and also hybrid in person. Definitely want to encourage you to follow us on Instagram and keep updated on job openings and get connected to faculty as well. And then this is an example of like what our Instagram feed looks like and the different posts that we have. So like the basketball position opening or highlighting a teacher or a conference that we'll be at. So just want to let you know, by following, make sure you follow us there and also our YouTube channel. So one of the teachers I wanted to highlight is Michelle Perz. Really enjoyed meeting her in person last fall. My wife and I took her out to go get a massage and just hear her story and connect with her. So her school we partnered with for 5 years. They send us teachers, usually in groups from California Baptist University. But it's been a real pleasure to get to know her and to see her joy that she shares with students and with other faculty. She sent me a few photos. So I want to show you some of those photos that she sent. So the different faculty trips are really a highlight for first-year teachers. So we coordinate a trip to Kaifeng and Luoyang, somewhere in Zhengzhou. And usually once a year, we'll do a big trip. So those are day trips. I really love going into the mountains as well. There's like a little mini Grand Canyon that you can go and hike, or a lake or a boat you can get on. And then they'll usually do an overnight trip to Xi'an. So it's a 2-hour bullet ride west. They usually take you on a slower bus as a group of teachers, like 5 hours west. And having the school facilitate a little bit of tourism and international travel and going with your coworkers is really a great highlight of our first year of teaching at SIAS. Then let's see, I don't recognize where they are on the bottom picture. It looks like it's a winter trip, maybe to Shaolin Temple. And then that looks almost, oh, it's the Great Wall of China. Looks like, I think Michelle probably just did that with a student and another colleague. And then the one on the top right is actually on campus. There's a new bowling alley in the student center at the university. So if you love bowling, we have a bowling alley. So next week, we're going to do a webinar on Intro to Teaching in Thailand. And a lot of it's just going to be like, what is life like in Thailand? What are the things that you can do? And that's what attracts people, isn't maybe the school or the job offer, but it's the culture, it's the environment. So I'll share some stories of when my brother came. We rode our motorcycles around and visited elephants, and just really learning to love the culture as we learn from a Thai language teacher, just learning the culture and their honor and respect for their king and their history. It's so hopefully you can join me on that as well and learn about Thailand. And if it's not to teach there, it's to visit. So during your winter holiday, I encourage you all, if you're teaching in China, spend a few weeks in Thailand, and we'll talk about our experience doing that as well. In addition to our academics in Asia, social media, SIAS University is putting together really good social media content on their Instagram channel. They don't have a YouTube yet. They have LinkedIn and Instagram, and then they have their own WeChat channel. So encourage you to follow SIAS University there as well. But for the next 5 minutes, or if you need longer time, I'd love to answer any questions that you have. So I will, but yeah, post any of your questions in the comments and in the chat, and I would love to hear from each of you.
Have you noticed any kind of change in terms of like Thai management, school management, with regard to foreigners, how to communicate? Because I noticed a big change in China in the last 5, 6, 10 years.
Yeah.
Of communication, in terms of understanding.
I think you might have more experience than myself. with that, my experience has just been one province, one school, whereas you've been to, sounds like, different schools.
Right now, this is my 9th job in China,
Yeah.
and I've been teaching like in at least 9 different provinces.
Wow. That's a lot of experience. But I think you are, I from my perspective, there has been changes, and some of it has been they've let go a lot of teachers have left through COVID, and then they didn't rehire many of those teachers. So, and part of it is they have the economy hasn't been as strong through COVID, and so economically they couldn't rehire some of the administrators that they had in the past. So that's. But so you have like a team of 20, and then you have a team of 10, but you still have a team of 20 worth of work to do. And so they just like divide up the work and hand it out to everyone. And that's created a lot of tension and stress on the middle management. But I think in general, when you work for an international university or education company, you're handled with a different color gloves, maybe white gloves instead of the normal working gloves. I think they want to really take care of our international schools from on a local level for sure. We're seeing more education requirements from Beijing, from the Ministry of Education in the classroom, and so there's some more agendas that everyone in China has to go through to align with maybe their 5-year plan or whatever, you know, the leadership from Beijing is saying. So I agree with that as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Question from Rose. She says, what do you think new teachers, Western race, struggle with the most coming to China? Like culture, climate, the Hofstede culture dimensions, and how large are the average ESL class sizes? My struggle is going to be different than others because my personality, my Myers-Briggs is more on like justice, and I'm, you know, a thinker. And so in time, I switched more to being less on the high J side of my Myers-Briggs and more on the perceiving. And I think it's because I wanted to not have so much conflict in my mind. So when I saw issues that I think would be easy to fix, I bring it to what I thought was the right leader. But in reality, they didn't have the ability to make changes that were best for the students. So for example, the classes are split into 2 different groups. I really wanted the splitting to not be based on their number, but based on their ability of English. So let's put the lower English with the one teacher and the higher English with another, so we can kind of teach to the middle of both and not have to, you know, have more of an advanced section of the class. But they just couldn't implement that quickly. So I think that's a challenge as a Westerner, where you think, oh, I have a really good idea, it would be easy to fix, I can do it just with my partner teacher, we don't need administration involved. But we never got the middle management thumbs up to go ahead with things like that. But I think if you have the posture of, I'm going in as a servant, what can I do to help the students, instead of coming in as an expert, I am the knowledge giver. And that really helps with a lot of the stress. And then you are more fluid, kind of like what Bruce Lee said, you want to be more like the water that rolls instead of the rigid rocks that hurt people. I didn't say the rocks part, but you just want to like flow like water. I think adjusting to culture is much easier if you go in with a heart of a learner as well. So in addition to serving, if you go in as a learner, I'm going to learn the culture and the language, and usually those go together. I'm going to travel, I'm going to spend time with students or people of that culture and become their friends. And they're my friends, and you're their friends. That really helps. If you mostly hang out with expats and do this expat huddle as much as you can, I think it's harder to adjust to that culture. So university work is great because you have the ability to work with students in the classroom, and then outside of the classroom, they're available. They'll play sports with you, they'll go to the movies, they'll invite you to their hometown, they'll travel with you, they'll translate, they'll take you to the bank. They are available, they want to spend time with you. So another stress is like the need for friendship that they have or to learn English can be overwhelming. Remember the first time we arrived in China, we get off the bus at the university. This student leader comes up to my wife and says, "Oh, I heard you're a music teacher. You can teach choir. Please help our choir club," like right away. But going in, we knew we're going to protect our time and focus on what were our high priorities, which is adjusting to culture, learn language, do well in the classroom. So she like politely said, "Thank you so much for honoring me with that request. Let's check back with me next semester and let's see how I'm doing with adjusting to teaching in the classroom." So I think that's another culture stress of any like teacher is like there's so many needs, like how do you prioritize your time management is an issue for some of our younger teachers as well. And then there's like the more you learn about Chinese history, the better off you're going to be. So hang out with Dr. Gary Todd, understand the reason behind the politics and the culture so that you can go in with eyes open and not unaware of there were wars here, there were conflicts here between these cultures. This is what's going on in the future, so that you can understand their nationalism and really honor their culture. And SIAS is placed in a great spot to learn history. There's museums in our town. The Xinzheng city has a museum about the Yellow Emperor and the ancient Chinese culture. So it's a really good place to do that. I think when I think of teachers coming over, a lot of their basic questions are, what's my tribe? Like, where do I fit in? And I think that's a stress as well. Like you get there and there's returning teachers and there's new teachers. And then there's like the Chinese teachers and then there's all the students. So like, what group do you hang out with? Where do you openly process your feelings and emotions? So finding your group, your tribe takes time, like learning, like connecting with them over a meal. So do a lot of meals, want to be intentional, getting to know different teachers, find your tribe. And then after a while, by the second semester, you kind of know where to sit and where to process how your class is going. But a lot of young teachers have a hard time with like, there's so many people that you could hang out with, like who are your people? And I didn't really know that was an issue because I was married when I came and I just had my wife and we're always talking and I didn't need that as much as a single teacher. And then there's also faith community. So finding where you're gonna like process your faith and worship in your way. And so I think our expat community is big enough where you can find your faith community as well. And that helps with adjusting to culture. Hopefully does that. And then the average ESL class size. This is probably one of the biggest critiques of your professor, David Katarek, is the class size is too big. He left, he gave kind of an assessment of our ESL program. He says, "I have one thing for you." This is from one of my famous professor. He pulls out like a screwdriver. "You need this screwdriver." I'm like, he's being witty. I don't know. He's from the UK, so he's being witty. And he says, "You need to unbolt all those desks. You need movable chairs." I'm like, "Oh, I get it. Okay, yeah." So in time, I think we've learned that you don't want to have kids, like students in rows for a conversational English class. You want to circle them up. You want them to do pair work. You want them to do group work, that type of thing. So, and you also said, yeah, if you really want these students to learn English, they should have smaller class sizes. Like more than 15 is difficult. So the way the university system works is they go through, it's probably similar to Russia or other more communist background countries. They go through their whole 4 years together in a cohort. You declare your major and you're with those students for like 60 different classes in 4 years. And so when it comes to your English class, they take that cohort of 60 to 70, and they divide it in half. And then you have an A teacher and a B teacher. And so now as a teacher, a conversational English teacher, you also have to work with your partner teacher to make sure you have similar content, a similar amount of homework, similar grading style, similar like bell curve. Otherwise, you'll have students from the B class complaining about not being in the A class to their class master. So a class master is a kind of a mentor to about 4 different groups, 4 or 5 different cohorts of 70, and they are like they check on you in your dorm. They do orientation. They make sure you're in class. They report. Parents have concerns, they go to the class master, and if students have complaints, they go to the class master. So in every class there is a monitor, and then there's like different student leaders. So there's like a study hall monitor, there's a psychology monitor, there's an activities coordinator, like all within one class or cohort. They have all these student leaders, and they are slowly brought in. They're voted on by their classmates who's going to be the class monitor for the class. And then for your oral English class, the class monitor for the other classes might not have good English, so they'll vote for another one, a class translator. So you'll have a student that's chosen by their peers to be your translator. So at the end of class, you want to restate the homework, you can have your class translator stand up and say it in Chinese, just to reemphasize the homework assignment. And so I would meet every week with each class monitor over tea, or like a meal, or just like, get some boba tea. And they were really honored by that, and they appreciated a place to come and speak to me instead of their class monitor if there's issues. And I would always ask the question, am I speaking too fast? Is the content interesting? What do you think of the homework? And then how can I improve the class? And so every week I would write notes and learn from them. Just going in as a servant leader, and on my heart is to learn. You go in with a servant heart and a posture of learning, you're going to build rapport quickly with the students. So I didn't have a background in education or teaching, but by the end of that semester, I was ranked #1 among the foreign teachers from the student perspective, because I came in with the right posture. And so I encourage you guys to take advantage of the student monitor, or that's the translator for each class, and get to know them. And like they are to represent the whole class anyways. So you have a structure in place, so it's good to take advantage of that. So Igor just wrote, well, is that good? Does that make sense before I go on? Okay. Igor wrote, my largest class had 56 students. My largest high school class in Henan province had 107. Hopefully were you teaching English? Conversational
yeah,
English?
sure.
Oh my, 107 students. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
It was like Crazy English. What's that guy that does the Crazy English
Yeah, the stadium, right? Yes.
Let's stand up and repeat after me.
Kind of.
Oh my. So I mean, like, you can get away with that, I guess, maybe in a high school. Was it outside? How do you have 107 people in a classroom?
It's they were packed like sardines. It's they were like sitting like next to each other, like almost like 1 centimeter distance between people.
Gosh.
Like,
yeah, you must have felt special though, like honored that everyone wanted your class. Well, I'll never forget the time we went to visit a high school. I think it was, I don't know what it was, but they took our teachers to visit a middle school, maybe. And the students were so excited to meet international teachers. They were just thrilled. You felt like a superstar, a rock star or something. And then this one student comes up to my wife. He's like, sign something. I'm like, well, what do you want us to sign? Like your shirt? He like sticks out his hand, and my wife signed her name on his hand. It was just kind of a funny moment. I don't know how long it took him to wash his hands, but well, you guys are in line for a big adventure if you haven't taught before in China, and I hope it's a warm welcome, and I hope to visit in the fall as well and greet you in person. And really appreciate your time. If you'd like to do a one-on-one Zoom call, then in every one of my emails is a link to my Calendly, and you can sign up for a 30-minute consultation. I'd love to hear more of your story and get to know you better and help you decide if this is the right school to sign a contract for. Well, thank you so much. Look forward to helping you along the way on this journey, and let's keep in touch. Have a good night. Thanks for staying up late if you're in North America.
In China, it's early morning. Okay.
Have a good day, Igor.
Yeah, you too. Otherwise, see you later.
Bye.